Why aren't you listening to me? Doesn't anybody ever listen to me? Listen to me? Listen to me? Listen to me? Blame yourselves for this fucking word salad that I just spit all over the goddamn plate. This is all your fault. You and I like me. That's it. I work under the cover of darkness because I don't need the rest of society to look in my eyes and know that is a bad person.
Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. What did I say just before we hit the button? What do I care? That's what I said. She's like, we ready to start this? And I had said no, and I was sitting here waiting and waiting and thinking and thinking and pondering and pondering. And look, folks, I got to be honest with you. Waiting and waiting and thinking and pondering, that's helping no one. That's certainly not getting the show started. And if I'm not ready by now, when the fuck am I going to be ready? Honestly. Because it's now, what is it, 5:30? 5:44 p.m. on a Wednesday afternoon as I come to you live from the oldest building in Hollywood. I am not live. You are live listening to this through your iPod vagina or your tweakedaudio.com/40 earbuds. Man, you know what? I love my voice in the beginning of the show. Let me tell you, folks, that. I love it. Love my voice in the beginning of the show, and I hate my voice at the end of the show. Jesus. Because here's what I've done, folks, recently. And I say recently, I mean this week. I started listening to the show again. Because I kind of felt, I kind of need to know what's happening with my voice and talking. Because also I think I'm fucking hysterical. And I'm like, you know what? I got to hear me be funny. Why not? Because sitting around doing nothing, I'm not funny. But when I hear myself recorded, I go, you know what? I used to be funny. My God. Last week at this time, I was being funny. How great was that? So I listened to last week's show. And in the open, you can hear my voice is strong. I'm talking about, and it's funny. I even said I'm talking about doing voiceovers and how I needed to do it beforehand. Because then by the time you hear the plugs, I sound like Maude. Holy fuck. Jesus Christ, I sound fucking amazing in the beginning of the show, like right now. And by the time this show is over, I'm going to sound like B. Arthur after she swallowed glass. Jesus, fuck, that's awful. By the way, that's B. Arthur never swallowed glass as far as I know. If she did, or maybe she did before every taping of Maude, because that voice, oh, God will get you for that, Walter. All right. That's a line for one person. Literally, that might be a joke for one person. And you know who that person is? Adrienne Barbeau, and she doesn't even listen to the fucking show. Why the fuck doesn't? Oh my God! I wish Adrienne Barbeau listened to this show because you know what? I would record myself jerking off on the show just so Adrienne Barbeau heard me do it. She deserves it. All the times I did it in the past, I should throw out a tribute to her now. Just like, yeah, you just hear some ruffling against the microphone and boom, there we go, we're finished. Take that, Barbeau. That's a live action representation of what I used to do to you all through the 80s when you were making out with Valerie Bertinelli in my head. All right. Yeah, that's right. Why not? Come on, you're trying to deny the hotness? Look, I had Farrah in there as well sometimes, and there was all sorts of chicks. And Madonna appeared briefly when she came onto the scene. But yeah, I've had a weird. Yeah, I had a Joni Cunningham thing for a while. Yeah, man, I didn't give a fuck. Look, when you're that age, if you don't care, you're beating off. It doesn't matter who the fuck you're beating off to. If there's a mirror and I can see myself, it's like, hey, there's another guy in the room. Why not? Let's do it. You're trying to piece together what? Barbeau and Bertinelli? The B&B twins? Oh, go at it. No. See, you know why? Because Barbeau had like the mom thing going on. Like Bertinelli was younger, and Barbeau had the huge rack, and Barbie Benton. Oh, you want to throw some more B's in there? Adrienne Barbeau, Barbie Benton, and Valerie Bertinelli? Jesus Christ. That's a goddamn B movie. That's a B festival. I am in. Sting me, motherfucking bees. That's right. I deserve to get fucking lumpy because of you fucking three. Damn right. Oh, yeah, I've tossed it off. The Candy Loving? Oh, my God. Look, let's just do a show about all of the chicks that I fucking beat off to in my life. Candy Loving, right there. Go ahead and put her on the list. That hair, Candy Loving's amazing. Her face, like, I don't know what, her face, and again, as you're a kid, you don't know. Oh, Bo Derek, there's another B. Let's throw her in. I stole a Playboy magazine once to beat off to her. Did I ever tell you that story? Horrible. I was at a 7-Eleven talking to a buddy of mine who was working there at the time. Folks, I got to stay out of 7-Eleven, honestly. From the time I was a kid, I got pinched stealing from a 7-Eleven when I was a kid. Oh, that was awful. And then you try to, like when you're 10, you're trying to tell them, oh, I was going to pay for it. Where? I was going home to get the money? You're an idiot. Never tell all right, I'll tell two stories from 7-Eleven when I was a child. Once, I got caught stealing. Once, when I was 5. Look, I enjoy stealing. It's just as simple as that. It's just a simple fact. Because all right. I just don't want to pay for it. All right. So, idiot. I did. I was stealing it, and I was walking out. And you know what I did? It was weird, right? You ever see the cartoons when they do that trick where a kid sneaks onto a plane? There'll be like a big family with like 9 kids, and then Stewie from Family Guy jumps into their brood, and he gets on the plane as well. He like sneaks in. Well, that's what I did. There was a family buying things, and I had candy in my hand, and I kind of blended in with their kids. And when they walked out, I just walked out with them holding candy bar, like 2 candy bars. And as I walked outside, a guy came over to me and grabbed me by the shirt. Again, I was 10, and he's like, "Whoa, where do you think you're going?" And I said, "What? I was I forgot." And then I was gonna go out. I was gonna get the money. Like, you're 10, you don't know what to say. I was gonna go get the money, and he's like, "Where are your parents here?" And I said, "Well, I forgot. I didn't pay for it." You know, you get 900 excuses. And the whole time, you're going, "Don't call my mom. Don't call my mom. Don't call my mom. Don't call," because my mom would have kicked the fuck out of me. Jesus. But thankfully, he had no appetite for the police. Instead, he dragged me in and he raped me. No. Which was fine. Don't call my mom. Don't call my mom. Don't call my mom. Whatever you need. I'm 10. Let's do this. I'll just close my eyes and think of candy loving. Honestly, I don't. It does not matter to me. Seriously, look. It was desperate. Hershey bars or Hershey bars. All right, so. No, he brought me in and he yelled at me like in front of everybody in the store and told them all that I was like a little thief and I wasn't allowed in the store anymore. And then he took the candy away and he kicked me out. And that's a blow, man, because there were only 2 7-Elevens in my town, so now I was excised from that one. But the good news is it was the one on the far side of town. The one close to my house, I was free to go in and shoplift at will. They never caught me and didn't care. Although, and I think I told this story once, I may have, all right, I might not have told this. All right, I got yelled at this week. Let me tell you that, by the way, because I'll always allude to stuff, and I go, I think I covered that on here, and people are like, no, you didn't. They're like writing me or calling me and telling me nobody's calling me. That's a lie. Max, actually, I talked to Max about it. He's like, dude, you say stuff, and you've never talked about it, but you'll say that you did it. And I go, well, but I say it, and Lily nods. He goes, well, yeah, maybe she thinks you did say it, but I'm telling you didn't. And I'm like, oh, I got to listen to these shows. Because again, actually, you know what? I don't need to really keep track of anything because I know there are fans out there who are doing a glossary of the 40-year-old boy. They started it during year 1. I think they've just completed episode 4 of year 1. Now, we're into year 4. I don't know when they're going to catch up. Maybe I should just, you know what? I'll run reruns until they catch up. That'll be fine. They were going to do the glossary, and like, that's a really amazing idea, and I love the fact that fans are involved. I don't know how the hell you're going to do it. It seems like a lot of work. And that's a lie, by the way. They've done I think they did all of year 1. Year 1 was almost finished. But then when I saw it, part of me was, like I said, I was very excited that they were going to do it because I thought it was a fun little tribute and that people cared enough. But then I have to admit, a part of me wanted it so I could be lazy and just look shit up and remember what I talked about, what I hadn't talked about. Because I don't know what I talked about half the fucking time. I'll throw shit away. I've been listening to older shows, like for context. Oh, look, you don't care. Nobody cares about me and my process again. But I listened to a show that was like an hour and 40 minutes long. All right, 3 years ago. And I'm listening to it, and the whole show, you hear me, I keep going, oh my God, this show is so long. Why don't I have to stop? Why is this show so long? And I'm saying that like the hour and 10-minute mark, and I'm like, oh no, what happened to that guy? I liked that guy. We got to bring that guy back. That guy was like an editor of some sort and had a kind of a general idea that he was babbling way too much. As opposed to last week's guy who spent 40 minutes talking in circles before getting to the funniest story. I mean, why can't you just sit down and tell a funny story, dude? Why can't you do that? Because I've created some sort of weird artificial bond where I think people want to hear me talk about everything else under the sun. They don't. Nobody cares that I got caught at a 7-Eleven stealing things when I was 10. Nobody fucking cares. But right now, everybody in their car nodding. We care. Nobody cares. You know who cares? The guy at the 7-Eleven. He's old now, decrepit, in a rocking chair. And he's like, I caught a boy once. All right, so So I went to the 7-Eleven by my house, and we used to have to walk over there. All right, I'll tell 2 stories that I think I've told. I apologize if I have already. We used to have to walk to the 7-Eleven and get shit all the time. It was, because we were poor, and my mom we was getting high and didn't want to drive to the regular grocery store. So I told the story. She made us get ice. Did I ever tell that story? My mom made us get ice from 7-Eleven, so we had to walk. And it was hot. It was fucking summer, and it was so hot outside, and we had to walk and get ice, and we grabbed the ice. And we come back to my house, and my mom is there. This is so stupid. I swear to God I told you guys this, but it's really true, and it still to this day applies. We walk in with the ice, we put it on the table, and Mama goes, again, this won't be funny to you, it's funny to me. We walk in, we put the ice on the table, and we give my mom her change, and she goes, what the fuck is that? We go, it's ice. Look at it. You wanted again. I'm 10 and I can't be a smartass, but I want to go. What the fuck do you think it is? Look at it's a bag of ice. You see that word on there? ICE. Guess what? Fucking ice. Why are you busting my balls? It was 100 degrees outside. I went and got your ice, but I can't do that because my mom's iron fist. So we put it on the table and she just goes. I mean, just so casually. What the fuck is that? We go. It's ice. She goes. It's round. And we go. Yeah. I mean, I guess so. It's just ice. That's what they had at 7-Eleven. She goes, take it back. Like, what? She said, take it back. I don't use round ice. And we're like, what? She goes, I hate round ice cubes. I don't use round ice. Take it back. And she was serious. She was completely serious. We had to walk back to 7-Eleven with the melting bag of ice in the 100-degree weather. And she didn't even take us. That's the thing. She didn't even drive us or bring us. She had her 10 and 12-year-old go back to 7-Eleven with the ice and ask for their money back. And the guy, so we go in, we walk up, and we put it on the counter, and we go, hey, we have to bring this back. And he's like, why? And we said, because it's round. And he looks at me, and he looks at Lenny, and he laughs kind of to himself, and he goes, are you serious? And we go, yeah, our mom doesn't use round ice. And again, we're children. I bet if we were like 20 or older, he would have been like, get the fuck out of here. But I think he saw the desperation in our face. I think he saw how sad and confused we were as children. And again, I have no idea why the I don't use round ice rule exists. I have no fucking clue. I don't know if my mom was just tweaking but again, that can't be the case because fucking 35 years later, my mom still will not use round ice. I fucking hate it. I hate round ice. And again, I'm all for arbitrary endpoints. I mean, like, I'm the same way where I don't like something and people are like, why not? Because I don't fucking like it. That's that. I don't want it. I'm an adult. I'm a fucking grown-up now, and I don't need it. If I want to eat candy in the middle of the fucking night, I can because I'm a grown-up. If I want to go get a fucking jumbo jack at 2 a.m, I can because I'm a grown-up. If I want to fall asleep in a chair, I can because I'm a grown-up. If I don't want to use fucking round ice, I don't have to because I'm a fucking grown-up. So I guess I got it from my mom because, yeah, we brought it, and the guy looked at us, and he could see how sad and hot and sweaty we were, and he was just like, all right, put it back in the cooler. So he he just ching, he gave us the change, and we went back. So my mom went without ice. Like, she went without ice because she hates round ice. She made us take it back in the fucking heat. Same 7-Eleven. Middle of winter, we had to go get milk. Had to go get a gallon of milk. So we show up at 7-Eleven, we buy a gallon of milk, and I should tell you, this 7-Eleven, it was a 7-Eleven with a parking lot, but it had a little retaining wall, like a cement wall that you jumped off of to then walk to my house. So we, all right, this is gonna sound funny, but it's true. Walk to the store and in a winter fucking one of those blue winter coats with the wolf fur hat, the fucking parka hood. Awful. I hate coats. I didn't give a fuck if I died of pneumonia. I just didn't want to wear a coat. I would rather die of exposure than have my arms pinned down. I cannot. Mitch Hedberg always said, I don't want a turtleneck because it feels like a really weak guy strangling you all day long. That's how I feel about a parka. It's a blue bear hug. I don't want it. Any heavy coat, any sweater, it's just a fucking bear hug with buttons. I don't want it. So, but sure enough, my mom bundles me up and puts a fucking scarf on me because I got to go get milk. She covers me up. And it's, again, this is the same mom who made me shovel the driveway with no gloves on and then ran hot water on my hands with frostbite, whatever. All right, so, but for some reason, she scarf parka, marched me off, and I'm stiff-legged trying to fucking meander through the goddamn snow. It's crazy snowing outside, but we needed milk. So I go to that 7-Eleven, and again, it's behind my house. Like it's not far. It's not like a half a mile or anything. It might be total walking, 6 blocks, but it's in a circuitous route. You got to go through a field and around and up. So I buy the milk. I go outside, and it's snow, and there's snow drifts at the bottom of the retaining wall. So I put the milk on the retaining wall, and I go to jump down. And I'm going to, take the milk off the retaining wall. But then I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on. This would be awesome. So instead, I grab the milk because there's a huge snowdrift. And I want to see it sink in the snowdrift. You know what I mean? Like a rock. Because it's fun. It makes a little, like, it makes a little space. So there's snow everywhere, and there's a snowdrift. And I throw the milk. Like it's a gallon of milk in a plastic gallon. Not throw, like underhand toss like you would a softball to get it into the snowdrift. And it hits the snowdrift and explodes. It doesn't sink. It bounces. It actually like bounces and explodes. Like the plastic milk container bursts. And there's milk all over because there was ice and stuff in the snowdrift. I didn't even think about it. I just thought, I don't know. I had just walked in that snow and it was crunchy, and I thought it would make a fun crunch noise and make a little hole. Well, no, it blew up. Like it broke. Because maybe if I had gently dropped it into the snowdrift, but I fucking launched it like a jump shot. Like it was like, yeah! I threw a gallon of milk in the air and it goes, underhanded, and it went up and it came down and exploded. And I don't have any more money. My mom gave me enough money for a gallon of milk, which I think at the time was like 9 cents. So I'm just looking at a snowdrift covered in milk in the plastic container. And I was going to go back into 7-Eleven, but I didn't know what to say. So instead, I went home carrying this broken milk. So I get to my house, and I get the park. I'm stiff-armed. I'm holding the broken milk, and my mom opens the door, and I walk in. And again, my mom, very sensitive. The fuck happened? And I was trying to fake cry on the way home. So I let the wind blow in my face to get like tears from my eyes. And I took my hood off and I had a red face, and I know I had red eyes, but I don't think I was really crying. And I told my mom, I said, I was leaving 7-Eleven and I went to go jump off the wall, and teenagers came over and kicked the milk and knocked it into the snow, and it burst and it went all over the place. And my mom's like, why? I said, I don't know. They just pulled up in a car, and then they got out, and there was like 8 of them, and they ran over and they kicked the milk, and they laughed, and they got back in their car and they drove away. Now, those of you who remember the past shows may recognize that there was a story I told once where it ended with me blaming black guys for something bad happening in the same neighborhood. And at the time, this was after that. This was because that was in the summer. Well, this was in the winter after that, and I knew I couldn't blame the 2 black guys. Because I think we all know black guys don't like the cold. They're not going to be out. Black guys are summer vandalizers. All right? We can all agree with that. Black guys are summer vandalizers. They're not out looking for mischief in the cold. Absolutely not. Winter mischief is solely the realm of the Caucasian. All right? That is, your minority is strictly a summer mischief maker. So yeah, I said, and my favorite part is, again, if you break this story down, if you take it apart, and then my mom was like, well, are you okay? And it worked. Sympathy worked. My mom's like, are you okay? And I said, yeah. And she goes, oh, we'll go back. And she took me back to 7-Eleven. And she took me in to the store and told the guy, she goes, did you see this? And he's like, what? And she goes, well, a gang of kids came over and they kicked my milk and exploded it. They dropped it on the ground and they pushed my son off the wall. And he's like, no, why didn't you come back in and tell me? And I'm just like, I was too scared. And I'm trapped in a fucking parka. You can't even see my face. I was too scared. And he was like, wow, I'm sorry about that. And he gave us new milk. My mom never questioned it. I will say that thing about my mom. You know what I mean? She's a very tough and very much, hey, what the fuck? What's going on here? Da-da. But my mom would back you up, like fucking back you up no matter what. She always told us, she goes, anything you tell me, I will believe. I'm backing you. But the second you fuck me, like you betray me and you're lying, I will never trust you again. Ever. Ever. So did I tell the story about science class? My mom almost punched a teacher once. And I swear to God, again, this is true. And I when you hear this, you're going to say, I told the story about when I took a bullet for show and tell, right?
Yes.
Okay, I told that story. So I've had misadventures in school, but one of the things, this truly happened. This sounds like something like, again, when I was a kid and I was in, I think it was kindergarten, I brought a bullet for show and tell. My mom and dad gave me a bullet to bring to show and tell. Think about if that happened now. I mean, we're not talking. I'm in social services. Perhaps I've been raised in a 2-parent household, and I'm not a misfit. I'm not blaming blacks and teenagers for random acts of violence, and then not participating in random acts of violence myself later in my life. I'm not setting fire to luggage. I'm not doing any of those things. Things may have changed completely if only this had happened. Folks, I would have cured cancer by now. And then I would have a podcast telling you all about it. That's the only thing that wouldn't have changed. I still would have needed a pie. I'd be in Harvard. I'd be like different me. I'd have glasses and I'd like sweaters. You know what? Different me would like sweaters and parkas. I chalk it all up to that. So I took a bullet as a kid to school. And another thing that happened, and I swear to God, this is true, and it's going to sound like it's not true, but it's true. When we were kids, Lenny, my older brother Lenny, he was in 6th grade, and so he went into middle school, and I was still in 5th grade. And he had a science teacher named Miss Desai, Desai, and she's an Indian woman, and this was true, a class assignment. And again, even saying it doesn't sound real, but I know it happened. You know what I mean? Like even this is going to sound crazy stupid, but Lenny had an assignment where he had to take a plastic bag and catch car exhaust out of the car. When my mom started it, they wanted him to catch exhaust in the plastic bag and seal it and bring it to school. And then I don't know, they were going to huff it, or examine it. But that doesn't seem right, right? That sounds phony. Like, because you can die. I mean, can't you die doing that? Literally, they tell when children are in 6th grade, they say, "Hey, you know what? Stay away from plastic bags on your head and car exhaust. Those 2 things." And Miss Desai, I don't know if that was just her, she's from India. Maybe it was some weird suicide pact for Ganesh. I have no fucking clue. But that was an actual assignment. And she told Lenny was supposed to come and do it, and he was going to get car exhaust and put it in a plastic bag. And my mom was like, "Get bombed. You're not fucking putting car exhaust in a plastic bag." And he's like, "Well, that's the assignment." And she goes, "Well, you tell her I said you're not doing it." So, again, my mom with her notorious, rather than handle it herself, she sends her fucking 6th grader to go, "Hey, you tell her I said you're not doing it." All right. So Lenny's happy he doesn't have to do the assignment. So he goes back to school. And he tells Miss Desai that my mom said, "I don't have to do that. It's dangerous." And so Miss Desai said, "Okay, well, you're going to fail. You fail." So Lenny came home and he told my mom that he was going to fail. And my mom went into the school. Finally, that was enough to prod her away from her box of shake. And she decided to go into to Westview Middle School, and which is also Westview Middle School where I ruined a ceiling.
Yes.
Not me, Brian Fishbeck ruined the ceiling, but that's fine. Why do you laugh? You know what? Because yes, you remember, but nobody else remembers. That's the thing. It's like, so you laugh, and people are like, "I guess that was funny at some point," and it's like, oh. Folks, rather, you need to hear every show so you can laugh along with all of us. So my mom went in and confronted this woman, and the woman started to yell at my mom, and my mom basically physically threatened her and told her that if she made Lenny do anything like that again, she was going to come up and fucking knock her out, come back to the school and knock her out. And Lenny then was transferred from Miss Desai's classroom to a different science class. Which makes me laugh because my mom came and threatened physical violence against a teacher if she made Lenny do an assignment. And nobody called the police. There was no threats. It didn't make the news. There wasn't a news cycle where this psycho woman came in threatening teachers. They just quietly moved Lenny to another classroom and dealt with it that way. This is why the Catholic Church exists the way it does now. They just quietly move somebody to another parish once, because priests, I don't know if you know this, priests have been telling altar boys to collect car exhaust in plastic bags for years. And covering it up in a way that when it's unearthed, it's terrible when you find out about it. But years and years, altar boys have been collecting car exhaust in plastic bags, and all they do is they quietly move that father to another parish. It's an epidemic. It's a problem. It's not just in the United States. It's all over the place. Altar boys will tell you. Do me a favor. If you're an altar boy, and some of you may have repressed these memories, and I hate to be the guy who's digging it up for you, but look, I'm just telling you there is help out there. There is help out there. If you're an altar boy, if you were an altar boy at any time, if you're an altar boy now, if you were an altar boy in the past, and you ever had a priest come up to you and say, "Hey, do me a favor, grab a plastic bag and put it on my tailpipe," I'm here to tell you that there's help available.
Did you know that 4-year-old boy hates this noise?
You're listening to the 40-Year-Old Boy, and later, Ass or Cave. 20 questions, tight quarters.
So are you in there good and tight?
Yeah, I'm in.
Okay, most importantly, what does it smell like in there?
Remember when your mom burned that pot roast?
Okay. Have you built a fire yet?
No, not yet.
All right. And how did we get in today?
This time I was dropped in, I swung in on a rope.
Okay. Wow.
You know what? There's a femur bone in here.
Really?
Yeah.
Did you spelunk in there?
Think she'll let me?
Cave. Two guys who aren't afraid to get dirty. Ass or Cave on the Mike Schmidt Podcasting Network. Dude, I'm not alone in here.
Folks, it is fucking hot in Los Angeles. I was going to say that earlier, but I was too tired because I was so hot. It's like, what did you say, 105 here? In the valley, it was 108 when I got in the car to come here.
It was 108?
Yes. Which means here it's probably like 98. But again, I'm in the oldest building in Hollywood with no windows. It's the weirdest thing. It is like a 5-story kiln, but and yet we are sitting in here. It's pretty close.
I have 3 windows.
Yes, you have 3 windows. All right. Okay, listen. I'm going to explain something to you right now. This is a comedy show, and sometimes there will be hyperbole, and I will go ahead and I will employ hyperbole to try. There's no way it's 81. That's a lie. That's a complete lie. That's as bad as like when you look at your car console, which told me it was 108. I guess I shouldn't bitch about that because I just read that article that it's like, hey man, don't believe what your car tells you. And I said, okay.
It was 94 earlier.
Okay. All right. Well, it was 108 in the valley. I know that. And again, that might be just the inside of the car. Like, and it's leather. I mean, fuck, whatever the fuck. Sweating my balls off. And actually, that's a lie. I'm not sweating my balls off because they are still stuck to my leather seat down in the car. I had to detach them and come upstairs. Because I never like to have my balls up here anyway, because I just get emasculated by Lily making fun of me the whole time I'm sitting here. So as you sit in your cars right now where it's raining and it's cold or it's 50 or it's, I saw some guy post on Facebook, it was like 38 degrees or something. Speaking of Facebook, a listener posted his phone number. The weirdest thing, he put his phone number and then he wrote, Mike, don't do it. Like, and I just happened to see it. Like, it's not like folks, you need to know, I'm not following all of you at all times, but I just happened to go to Facebook and it was in my stream and it said, here's my phone number, Mike, don't do it. And so I actually wrote, I go, you know me too well, pal, or whatever. I used his name. I won't use it here. And he actually, to his credit, he topped me with funny, and he just wrote, I'm glad I said something. Like, because you know what's so great is everybody loves to out-funny me, and I love letting them. I just sit back and go, you are hilarious. Please, by all means, trump me on Twitter, trump me on my Facebook. You are the funniest of all time. I'm only funny on Wednesdays, folks. I got news for you. I save it up all 6 days of just staring into the distance and wondering why I'm not Twittering. And then Wednesday, hoo-ha, funny. Nobody says hoo-ha. Why would Busta Rhymes care that I was funny? Woo-ha, funny. He's got us all in check. Busta Rhymes a big fucking dude, man. He came into the House of Blues once, and in my head, I'm like, please don't start a fight, Busta Rhymes, because I will get the shit beat out of me by a guy named Busta. I can't. That is not something I want to have happen. So yeah, he's huge. God, a giant. And he was real nice to all the security guys, as opposed to ODB, who ODB was really nice to all of us. And then he just fucking went crazy and threatened to blow the building up. I was there. All right, folks. I used to be a bouncer. Look it up by year 1 and 2. Yeah, so I'm not happy with my energy level today, folks. I've actually started a few times because I feel like I'm not delivering things with oomph, or I'm not talking the way I would normally talk, because it is just, it's like, I should be holding a pizza and watching it cook. I mean, it's that fucking hot in poor Lily's house. I can't even imagine being here all day, because at my house, I got, bisexual air cranking, you know what I mean? Just in one room and the other, and just smashing and making a fucking tornado right there in the center of the apartment. I don't know if it's bisexual. I meant bi air. I have 2 airs. I guess it's bisexual. You know why? Because it's blowing both me and Karen. There you go. That is bisexual air if I've ever described it. I've never described it until just this very moment. I just invented the concept of bisexual air. Why would I say if I've ever described it? I never have. All right. I almost died. I'll tell you that. I almost died the other day. Here's how. Folks, I'm far too aggressive for my own good. In every area, in talking or accomplishing things. I'll tell you this. All right, first of all, this will give you an example of how aggressive I am. And I always think people should understand my aggression and realize that it's just a guy being a guy, but not everybody's like me. All right, so I'll give you an update now. You remember July 1st, I was 360. And I'm like, oh fuck, that's it. It ends because it was like, folks, I need to lose weight. It's 6 years after the surgery. Why am I ballooning up? Why am I fucking ruining everything? So then, if you recall, after a month, I went and weighed myself. What did I weigh? Does anybody remember? 344 pounds. Remember, I lost 16 pounds. I was like, yes, 16 pounds lost in a month. That's not bad. And all I did, again, I didn't work out. I didn't run. All I did was I stopped eating candy every night. That was literally the only adjustment I made. I stopped and fast food. Like I stopped eating garbage. All right. That's how I changed it. So then for the month of August, now it's September, time to weigh in for September. And I should tell you, I also have not started working out and I haven't started running. But I've maintained a vigil of no garbage, and I stopped eating even stuff that wasn't really garbage. I used to make. All right, here's what I used to eat, folks, because my schedule is upside down. So when I would wake up, my wife's dinner was my breakfast. We'd eat dinner, and then I would bring fruit and stuff to my work. But I would also bring. Sometimes I go get a hamburger in the middle of the night, whatever the fuck. I'm a fat guy, but I would also bring a triple threat. Did I mention what a triple threat was? Oh, folks. Well, first I invented a sandwich, and it was peanut butter and jelly and honey. And that's not a bad sandwich to eat because it gives you some energy. And it's, I eat this like sugar-free jelly, you know what I mean? But I eat real peanut butter because fuck yes. And honey is awesome. It's from bees, right? It's safe. We talked about the bees earlier in the show. When I talked about all the girls that I beat off to, like Donna Edmondson. I never said her name, did I? Donna Edmondson. Oh, no bee, but holy shit. Donna Edmondson is fucking amazing. She was the Playmate of the Year in '88, I think. And, I was 21, so it was prime beat-off time. I honestly would have beaten off to the back cover of Playboy in '88. And now, I like beating off. All right? Don't judge me. God damn it. That's the only workout I've had. Literally, I've changed my diet, and then I've gotten the fucking, I wanted to say like 10-ounce curls, but it's like, never mind. All right. So... it's good for grip strength. It's good all around. So, time to weigh in. And this is all I've done is just no. So I went and weighed in, 329, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's right. Another 15 pounds in a month, doing nothing but not eating like an idiot. And I can't wait to start lifting and running because that's gonna fucking change everything. And I'll gain weight because you gain muscle mass. And I don't fucking care. I'm ready for it because god damn it, I need muscle mass. So anyway, I'm at the doctor's office to get weighed in to do something, and I, because it's a mystery to me because I think I'm losing weight. I feel it, and my clothes are different. But you never know. Having lost 16 the first month, I was like, well, you can't really hope for that every month. And especially not having implemented the working out. So I weighed in. I got on the scale, and I put it all the way to the end where I thought it would be. And I started, tick, tick, tick. You slide it, and it's not going. I'm like, dude, no way. That tick, 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 tick. And I go back, and then I went under, and I went to 329, and it fucking kind of jumped up, and it raised right in the middle. And she goes, oh, 329. And she goes and writes it on the chart. And I just went, I looked at her and I go, yeah. And this nurse is like, yeah. And I got off the scale and I hit myself as hard as I could in the chest. I think I've explained that on the air before where it's like, it's a thing I got from, I used to watch wrestling as a kid. And by as a kid, I mean as a man. And there were these wrestlers I loved called the Road Warriors. And it was Animal and Hawk. And they would hit each other in the chest with these fucking I'm going to do it. I'm going to lean back from the microphone and maybe you'll hear it. Like, I mean, just fucking, but there it just sounded like a smack. But when I'm if I do it for real and I'm standing up, it echoes like a fucking bass drum. It's goddamn awesome. So I actually did it when I was filming Malcolm in the Middle. Did I ever tell that story on here when I was filming Malcolm in the Middle? I should tell that story. I'll get to it at some point. Why the fuck don't I tell it now? I got called into audition for Malcolm in the Middle. And I'm not an actor, folks. I want to be. I would love to go in for stuff. But this was crazy fat Mike. And actually someone has posted a picture of me online from Malcolm in the Middle that you can see on, it's in my Facebook picture stream. They put it on my wall. Yeah. Oh, don't look at that fat dude. I got to find, remember I talked about those good pictures where I look good? I looked for them and can't find them. I was trying to find them and I was like, and then Mex put up a picture of me with fucking Fred Rerun Barry and I'm so fat, like crazy fucking ridiculous. It looks like someone put a hose in my ass and it kept inflating until I almost burst. Like I looked like Augustus Gloop. Like, and I was drinking from the fucking chocolate river and then I fell in and I got sucked into the pipe. Or actually, no, I take that back. I look like Violet Beauregard who turned into the fucking blueberry and they got to roll me to the juicing room. Jesus fuck. And I see it every day on my page and I can't take it down because that's what I used to look like. I mean, I can't deny it. But it's a good reminder, I guess, not to look like that again. But I just want to find the pictures where I used to look good, so I can contrast it. I even wrote that on the page. I go, I got to find those. Jesus, these are fucking horrible, because it's just that picture, that fat Jesus. And it's funny, I look nice, like I'm wearing like a nice shirt with a, I'm like, I dressed nicer when I was crazy fat than I do now. What the fuck? But yeah, Rerun is there. You can't even see Rerun. Like, literally, I'm so fat in that picture that if you know me now, you look at it, you don't even notice that Rerun's in the picture. You're like, wow, you look how fat you were, dude. What the fuck? You'd be so surprised by it. But yeah, so I have to find good pictures. So I got called in for Malcolm in the Middle, and the role was Fat Tony. And the sad news is I would probably still get called in for Fat Tony. It's just I wouldn't be, fattest Tony. But I went in, and it was an eating contest against Bryan Cranston and Jane Kaczmarek. And the audition consisted of me walking in, and everybody was there. The Higgins boys and Gruber were there. I'm sorry, it's Dave Higgins, I think, and guy or whatever, David Gruber. I forget. Who cares? They wrote for the show. It was writers, producers, everybody was in there. And when you go in for auditions, you have to do stuff. Sometimes there's lines and things. Well, Fat Tony didn't have any lines. Fat Tony had to just be fat. And I got that down. I mean, I don't need to do that in an audition. That's fine. I got that squared away. I got that sussed. There's a picture on my Facebook page that'll show it to you. So I had to go in, and they were like, all right, well, it's an eating contest. And it's like you're eating sausages. How would you do that? And I said, what? And they're like, how would you eat sausages? Like, if you were in an eating contest, we need to see how you would eat sausages. You have to like mime it for us. And I think I've told you guys, I am horrible at business. That's what it's called when you're supposed to pretend things. Now, it's funny. I say that I'm not an actor, which is true. And then I say I want to be an actor, except I'm very bad at the acting part. Like, I can be me and I can talk and I can do stuff, but when they want you to fake on a phone or fake, like, tie your shoe, and I always look ridiculous, because to me, as you know, I come out of myself and comment on whatever is happening in the moment at that time. And it's a discipline that I don't have right now. I mean, I need to make myself, stop doing it. It's what makes this show long, and what makes the live show long. Is that I will go off on tangents, or I'll go, isn't this ridiculous? Like when I'm doing business with nothing in my hands, and I have to pretend that I'm sweeping a floor, and I have to, I feel so stupid, and I know that's dumb. I shouldn't be that way if I want to be an actor type person. Which I don't know if I really want to be an actor type person. I just want to, who fucking cares? Nobody cares. So I go to the audition, and they're like, how would you eat sausages? So, I went, all right. I go, this is how I would eat sausages. And I mowed through an imaginary plate of sausages like rapid fire. I literally just, it was like sausage. Like, I kept fucking, I two-fisted the sausages and just wolfed and kept chewing and fucking making mean faces. And I hearkened back to my pie eating contest days when I trash talked a child. And I remembered that state of mind, and I ate the shit out of this plate of imaginary sausages. Holy shit, I knocked it out of the park. And they were like, they all laughed. Like, and you're trying to get a response. All right. If you're trying to be funny, okay. If you're trying to be dramatic, you certainly don't want the entire room to start fucking laughing. But I mowed through it, and I fucking hunkered down, and I hit myself in the chest, like, as hard as I could. I made that noise. I got to try to make the real noise. No, it's more of a slap. And I did it, like, and I fucking looked around the room like I was going to beat the fuck out of everybody in the room. And I was covered in sausage, imaginary sausage grease. And when I hit myself, they fucking roared. They thought it was hysterical. So they're like, "Oh man, nice meeting you." They shook my hand, and I felt good about it. And I walk outside, and sitting there waiting to audition is I can't remember his name. What the fuck is the fat guy from Jackass?
Oh yeah.
Because I remember Wee Man's name, and then there's Bam, and there was Rab, Bam, Rab, Johnny. I forget the fat dude's name, but Eric. I don't know, some fat dude, the fat Jackass guy, but he's out there too to audition, and he's playing the role, man. He's out there, and all the people are like, dude, they're talking about the show, and he's like, yeah, he's friendly, but he was obviously the star of the room. So I split, and by the time I got home, I actually got called for a callback. So the callback was the next day, and I get to the callback, and it's just me and fat Jackass. And I'm sitting there, and I meet him, and I'm like, hey, and he's very nice. And they call me in the room. And remember I told you that all of the producers and the writers and everybody was in the room the first time? Yeah, that's not the case. Because I walk in and there's like 8 more people with those people. I don't know if it's network people. I don't know if it's sausage manufacturers. I don't know if it's fans of mime. I don't know why they're there. But it's a fucking room full of people there to see me eat more imaginary sausages. And I said, all right. So they said, bust it. And I fucking cleaned house. And I did it again. And I fucking acted tough. And I looked around like I was a badass. First, I you know what I did? I stomped back and forth like I paced like I was, getting ready to fucking eat the sausages. I was an idiot. I made it a sporting event. Rather than just make it like I was at a picnic, I made it like I was going to eat the ass out of these fucking sausages and destroy the world doing so. And it was a choice I made, and it was the choice that eventually got me the fucking role, because I don't know what Fat Jackass did, but apparently it didn't, maybe and also he might have been better than me, but they might have just said, we don't want Fat Jackass on our show because he's recognizable and it takes people out of the scene. Okay. I'm just unknown fat guy who eats the shit out of mime sausages. I'm not a threat to upstage anybody. So they call me and I get booked, and then they have to negotiate a rate for me because I have to eat sausages on the on set. Like, it's a trick. It's actually considered a skill. All right. If you get hired to do lines and stuff, you're an actor, but then your agents will always try to get a spiff or a bump for you if you need wardrobe or you get a travel allowance, or that's where, the representation handles it. I don't give a fuck. Just tell me what I'm doing and tell me what time to show up. And so they actually got me extra money. Like, I wound up getting an extra $400 because of what I was going to have to do on set. And I showed up. And the best part was, dude, it filmed right by my house. This is when Hollywood is awesome. When you get stuff that makes you feel like you're in the business and you're an actor. Because I told you I've booked commercials and I show up and they just sent me to an empty trailer and you sit there and do nothing. I mean, it's just fucking horrendous. But this time I wound up booking Malcolm in the Middle, and I had an actual trailer. My name was on the door because I was a guest star in the episode, and it was called Block Party. Is the name of the episode. If you're ever, looking in your fucking TiVo or whatever, look ahead at Malcolm in the Middle and find Block Party. I'm in there eating sausages. And I show up, and I had to park at one place, and then we were filming in a neighborhood, so we had to park at a community parking lot, and then they took us on a shuttle to Studio City, to this neighborhood, and they had blocked off an entire block. I dropped something. Hold on. I took my head away from the microphone. It's like I have a towel, like, because we're sweating in this room, and then I dropped it on the cords, and all I thought was sparks were going to shoot up and fucking ruin everything. Lily shakes her head.
Voice sparks.
Oh, sure. Oh, fuck. So listen to the kinetic voice I'm bringing to you right now, because I'm part of the Independent Podcast Alliance. I'll tell you about that in a second. I should tell you now. No, I'll tell you later. All right. Remind me. I gotta talk about that. Now I want to talk about it. All right, fuck, I'll remember. I can't forget that. So I show up and they take me to this there's a trailer with my name on it, and they have sealed off an entire block for an actual block party, and they've set up. There's games and pop a shot and fucking there's shoot the animal with the water gun. That's not a booth. Hold on a second. They had a petting zoo, certainly. But I'm talking about when you fill a balloon, you shoot the guy in the mouth and the balloon explodes. All right, they had that booth. That's not shoot the animal with the water gun. That's a completely different display. That's washing time at the petting zoo. Shoot the animal with the water gun. Holy shit. The ASPCA shuts down Malcolm in the Middle. It's bad enough I'm eating 100 pigs. Yeah, I swear to God I talked about this on here. But the bottom line is I had to go and I had to eat these sausages. So they give me this shirt that's way too small because they underestimated my fat. And they're like, here, we got you like a 2X. And I'm like, ha, 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 ha. I remember senior year. Although I'm wearing a 2X right now, folks, because guess what? I've lost 31 pounds in 2 months. So, yeah, that's right. I don't know. I don't need your, patronize me. Huh? I'm proud of you. You're proud of me. Sure you are. I haven't done anything yet. But the way I did the math, I'm like, dude, 15 pounds a month. I'll be down to fucking 220 by February. That's going to be fucking amazing. Amazing. Can't wait. And I'm going to do it. It's going to happen. And then what? I still won't be happy. Nobody's happy ever. I'll still be miserable. All right. But I'll be miserable in nicer pants. What the fuck was I talking about?
You were on set.
Oh, yeah. There's really... so I show up, and Frankie Muniz is playing basketball Like, and I should tell you, they've hired a bunch of extras, but then also the people who live on the block, they're allowed to come out. They go, just don't look at the cameras, but yeah, come out, and because they're cooking corn. They made an actual block party to film a block party. It was fucking amazing. And Frankie Muniz is playing basketball against all the kids in the neighborhood, and he's schooling them. Like, he's just dominating them. And I'm like, Frankie, come on. Pick at somebody your own size. And then you realize, he is, kind of. Pick at somebody your own age, maybe. But yeah, so I had to film. Where was I even going with this? Just to tell you, from hitting myself in the chest. So I go and I sit down. They call me. It's time for me to shoot. I'm there on set all day, waiting. And they call me just before, well, I guess lunch was at 1, but they call me at noon to go up, and they sit us at the table, and I'm actually with Bryan Cranston and Jane Kasmerick. Like, I'm actually doing scenes with who right now is the best actor on television, Bryan Cranston. Fucking Breaking Bad. If you're not watching it, you need help, because it's fucking fantastic, and he's amazing. And here's the best part about all of it. I'm nobody. I'm a fat idiot cast because he's fat. That's it. I am wrapped in layers of suet. That's the only reason I get this role. But he treats me like I'm an actor. He and Jane Kasmerick both, because Frankie Muniz, he wanted nothing to do with anybody. He was, playing basketball with the kids, and people would come up to talk to him, and he'd like blow them off and continue shooting hoop. Which is fine. Again, he's a young man and he's a child star, and it's got to be awkward and strange. He doesn't know how to interact with people yet. But I'm sitting with Bryan Cranston and Jane Kasmerick up on at the table, and they're friendly, and they want to know my name and who I am and how I got it and what I'm doing and where I go and where I've worked and other things I've done. And I tell them I'm a comic, and they're like, "That's great." And Jane Kasmerick loves comedy, and I mean, they were so friendly and nice. So they bring out the sausages that we're supposed to eat. And they tell us, they go, all right, it's an eating contest. You're going to eat these sausages. And we each have a huge pan of fucking kielbasa in front of us. And we're laughing, and they're joking, you know what I mean? And they put the pan down, and Bryan Cranston, he actually takes like 5 kielbasa out, and he puts them in Jane Kasmerick's pan, takes 5 more out of his and puts them in our pan, in my pan. And we're all laughing uproariously and having a good time. And then the directors come, Brian, you can't do that. It looks like you're ahead of them. And he switches it all back. So they go to blow the whistle. They're like, we're going to film the scene, and they told me they just do what you did in the audition. It was hilarious. And I'm like, all right. So I sit down, and they go to they're like, action, and I'm sitting at the table, and I actually stand up at the table. And I just start looking around like I'm fucking like a badass. You know what I mean? Like I did what I do at the audition. And I'm looking back and forth, and I'm looking at, it was just like the pie eating contest when I was a kid. I look into the distance and just sail off. I'm staring. I just do the fucking stew look into the distance. Have I explained the stew look on here? Have I? All right. Here's what the stew look is. If you guys don't know what the stew look is, I'm sorry. It's all tangential, and I apologize. This is dumb. And again, you're not going to care. When I was a kid, when Sega NHL 93 came out, NHL 94, my brothers and I would sit in the house and play Sega hockey all day, all fucking day. You ever see Swingers? When Roenick makes Gretzky's head bleed? It was that game, all right? And Roenick was fucking amazing. There was no doubt. When that scene came on, I whooped in the theater. Like, I cheered because it was like so much like what me and my brothers were doing all the time. We were trying to make a guy's head bleed and just, Roenick! And that was the way we talked. We would fight and yell at one another. Oh, fucking it. And my favorite line in that entire movie is when he looks and he goes, "It's not so much me as it is Roenick." When fucking Vince Vaughn says that, it is so fantastic because that's the shit we used to say to each other when we were playing. It was like, dude, it's not my fault Roenick is so good. We would just fucking yell at each other and just, it was genius. But I chose to be, I was always, I was the Vancouver Canucks because they were so fucking fast. Pavel Bure and all these different dudes. But then I would be the Winnipeg Jets because I liked to be. We would play. All right, we all had our favorite teams, but I liked to be different teams. I would do a psycho flip, we would call it. I would take the Sega controller and I would close my eyes and I would just flip to whatever team that came up. So if I had to be the New York Islanders, I had to be the New York Islanders. I didn't fucking care. So then I was the Winnipeg Jets one day, and I played my brother, and he was the Detroit Red Wings. All right, and he was, the Red Wings were fucking amazing. And my brother Scott was the Red Wings all the time. And I was like, dude, be a different team. He's like, fuck no, I like being the Red Wings, whatever. So I flipped, and somehow I got the Winnipeg Jets. So I would be the Winnipeg Jets, and I would start their main guys. I think Kyle Howardchuk was on the team, or Dale Howardchuk was on the team, and there was a bunch of dudes, and they were okay. But then when I would get my ass kicked by the Red Wings, I would just clean out the bench, and I would put a bunch of bench dudes in because it was funny to me to try to just fucking hurt the Red Wings. That's all I wanted to do. So there was a guy on the bench for Winnipeg. Again, you don't care. Nobody cares. There was a guy in the Winnipeg Jets. His name was Stu Barnes. And I thought it was the stupidest name. I'm like, who the fuck is this guy? And he was only like a 60. Ratings, go up to 100. And he was a 60, but he was a center. And I was like, fuck that. Stu Barnes is playing. So I brought Stu Barnes off the bench, and I bring out all these Winnipeg Jets, and I start playing. And unbelievably, for no reason at all, Stu Barnes is a god in NHL 94. He's only a 60, but he is rampaging through the Red Wings. And there was a thing where you would play and guys would hit you and you'd normally get knocked over. You get knocked off the puck. Stu Barnes could never be knocked off the puck, ever. And not only that, Stu Barnes put Sergei Fedorov, his first shift, he takes the face off and he's running, and then Sergei Fedorov tried to line him up, and I lowered my shoulder as Stu Barnes, and I made fucking Fedorov's head bleed. I knocked him on his ass, and I knocked him out of the game. And I was like, Stu fucking Barnes! And my brother's Scott is just like, God damn it, what the fuck? This guy's a bum. Why is he doing this? I go, because he's fucking Stu Barnes, baby. You can't hang with Stu Barnes. And then I proceed to score a hat trick with Stu Barnes in the third period. And dominating guys, never gets knocked off the puck. He's rampaging. And I still lost the game like fucking 13-6, okay? But it didn't matter because Stu Barnes was a genius. So then, every time we would go to play, my brother would go ahead and he would pick the Red Wings, or Andy would pick the Blackhawks or some other team, and then I would pick Winnipeg, and I would, you would have to go set your lineup. So I would set my lineup with Howard or whoever, and then my starting center, I would always bench the best guy, and I'd pull up the reserves, and I'd click down, and I'd highlight the name Stu Barnes, and I would just stare off in the distance. Like a Viking waiting for the call to battle. I would just stare into the sky, and I would hold my thumb precariously over his name. I wouldn't put him in the lineup yet. And my brothers would just go, yeah, Stu fucking Barnes, just put him in the game. And I would look and I'd go, you guys can't handle the Stu look. And I would hit the button, and Stu would then be in the lineup. And that was what became known as the Stu look, and still is to this day, quite frankly, with my brothers. So I stood up at the fucking sausage eating contest, and I crossed my arms and I looked into the distance just like I did for the pie eating contest. I did the Stu look. Because, all right, I should say, when I did the pie eating contest, it was well before I did the Stu look for Stu Barnes. So it wasn't called the Stu look then. But it became the Stu look later, and then now it's the Stu look. There you go. Now you have it. Everything's clarified. Nobody gives a shit about the Stu look. Nobody. And I even said to myself, I go, don't get caught up in some weird loop in this show. Yes, guess what? The Stu look. So I stand up, I'm looking into the distance, and I'm fucking kind of like shaking my head. I'm shaking my fists out, and I sit down to fucking quaff sausages. And the guy's like, "You've seen these guys eat," and he gives this long speech. And the joke is Bryan Cranston and Jay Kaczmarek, they use forks and knives, like they're genteel, but they're going to eat 1 billion sausages. And I'm an animal. I'm Fat Tony, and I've won 1 million times. So I'm the defending 8-time champion. So they introduce me as Fat Tony, and I look out into the crowd, and I do my head back and forth, you crack your neck, and I'm like, and I because that was also from the Road Warriors, because they used to wear these chokers on their neck, and they would flex their fucking traps, and the thing would pop off, and it was just amazing. Because again, as a child, I admired muscles, not that I don't now. And so I did that, right? I flexed my neck, and they're like, all right, ready? And I hit myself in the chest so hard, people in the crowd laughed. They laugh. Even people, they're extras, they're supposed to be there. They don't know what's going on. And I blasted myself really hard. I fucking manned up, and then they're like, go. And I tear into these fucking sausages. I mean, I start, I two-fisted. I'm going 4 bites in a kielbasa, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I swallow. I'm practically swallowing it whole. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm eating, and you just eat till they say cut. You just eat, and I'm eating and eating and eating, and finally they, cut, and they cut, and I'm like, whew. And I come back down and I look, and Bryan Cranston looks over at me and he goes, "What was that?" And I said, "What?" He goes, that thing when you hit yourself. Why did you do that? I go, "It's stupid. It's a thing from these wrestlers that I knew as a kid. It's like a thing, like a psych up thing." He goes, "Do that every time. Do that every time they say action. That was the greatest thing I've ever seen." And Jane Kaczmarek goes, "You need to do that again." And I said, "All right." And sure enough, so then they say action, and I hit myself again as hard as I can in the chest, and they go, and I eat. I'm eating kielbasas, fucking 1, 2, 3, 4. I eat 5 more kielbasas. Cut, and they cut, and everybody just starts laughing. The director comes up to me and he's like, "That is hysterical. Just it's what you're doing is perfect. You should see your face when you're eating, everything, all of it is so great." And I'm like, "All right," and I'm feeling good because again, I'm feeling like I'm doing something. So then they say, go again. We have a third take, and we do, and I fucking wolf kielbasa. Wolf. I eat 4 or 5 more, and we finish. And So they finally say cut. And I noticed there's a guy, like I'm so into it. I will be honest with you. Look, I must be a Stravinsky method actor. Because I'm so into the role of guy smacking himself in the chest and being a badass and eating the kielbasas that I don't notice there are people coming around with a spit bucket. And what it is everybody else is eating, they're chewing the kielbasas, they're putting them in their mouth and they're chewing them, and then when they say cut, they're spitting them into a bucket. I've eaten 14 kielbasa at the end of the third take. 4, 5, and 4, I think it was. And then they call lunch. Now, again, I'm crazy Fat Tony, Fat Mike. And they call lunch, and I'm feeling a little groggy because I'm full of kielbasa at this point. And everybody now knows me. So the crew guys and everybody's coming up and they're going, dude, you're hilarious. They're all very nice and they're fun. And I will tell you this, too. When you work on a TV show, the food is amazing. When you work on a TV or a movie, the food is unbelievable. It's not Hoffa with bagels and bananas, all right? It is a huge pile of they have a grill and they make you steak and they make, they'll have things, 4 different entrees and then the piles of salad. I mean, it's really crazy to the point where I don't want to waste it. Like I'm like, I can't bypass lunch. So I actually eat lunch. Like I get a plate of salad and I get some, a regular entree and I sit down and I'm eating and the crew guys are sitting with me and they want to talk and they're fun and we're all joking around and I'm eating lunch and I start feeling kind of sick because I don't know if I mentioned to you folks, I ate 14 kielbasa and I went not really long, crazy long, but probably like imagine if you ate 14 hot dogs, right? It's like that, but thicker and greasier. So I got that in my stomach, and then I ate an entree and some salad. And again, when I was fat, I could put fucking food away. So it wasn't really, I could do it in a blink. It didn't really faze me, but I started to get a little hinky. And we went back to go and eat. We finished eating, and then we had to go back and eat. So then they called me on stage, and I sat there, and they came up, and they're like, just do exactly what you're doing. And again, I started to rampage through the kielbasa, but this time, I didn't swallow anything. I took the sausages, and I went 1, 2, 3, 4, and they were in my mouth, 1, 2, 3, 4. So I had 2 in my mouth and 2 in my fists, and I was like, and I'm looking mean, and I'm eating, and they call cut. And the director comes up to me, and he goes, what are you doing? And I went, and he goes, you changed something. He goes, it was funny. And I go, well, and I spit, I use the spit bucket when it comes by. And I go, well, I didn't, we just ate lunch, and I ate, I didn't eat the kielbasas. I mean, everybody's using the spit bucket. He goes, well, he goes, you don't have to. It doesn't mean you have to if you don't want to. And I go, well, no, I think I might want to at this point because I ate lunch and I've had I think I ate like 14 of them early on, and the director goes, well, I'm just going to tell you it was a lot funnier when you were actually eating them and they were disappearing. I'm just letting you know that you can do what you want, and that's fine. But I'm just telling you that it was really great. We'll show you. You can come look at the dailies. It was so funny when you were just eating them and they were disappearing. And I'm nobody, all right? My name might be on the trailer, but it's still on masking tape, all right? It's not like I have a fucking permanent job here. So as far as I'm concerned, that means eat the fucking kielbasas. So I go, okay, cool, I'll handle it. And the director walks away, and Brian calls him back over, and they talk about the scene, and how are they doing? And he talks to Jane, and the director leaves, and Brian looks at me, and he goes, do what you're comfortable with. Don't worry about it. He goes, they had so much funny in the early takes that it's not really going to matter. But do whatever you want to do. And I was like, you sure? And he was like, yeah, it's fine. It's funny regardless. And you've been funny the whole time. So he really calmed me down, but not to the point where I was comfortable. So we wound up doing it all afternoon. The rest of the afternoon, we did probably like 6 more takes, and I ate kielbasa every single time. I wolfed them down. I stopped. I slowed down. I didn't eat 4 and 5, but I was eating 2 at a crack and swallowing them and then making sure I had more in my mouth and then spitting some out. But I was eating and rampaging and hitting myself in the chest every time. And we finished, and I was like, they called cut for the day because it was getting dark. Or not dark, but it was like 5:30, 6 o'clock, and they had to turn the people back over to their homes. You know what I mean? So I finish, and the director comes up, and he's like, man, great work today. So great. And he's talking to Brian and Jane. And he comes up to me, and he goes, can you come back tomorrow? And you folks might have heard this sentence. Can you come back tomorrow? What I heard was, do you have any interest in making another $1,200 tomorrow? And I immediately went, yes. And he goes, good. He goes, good. We want to film it from different angles. We want to see different stuff. I said, I'm just like, I'm up. And it meant I had done well. And because then the writers are coming over, everybody, the crew, the directors, Frankie Muniz, everyone is like, they're very complimentary and they're like, dude, you're so funny. Once you see it, you're going to laugh your ass off. I mean, it's so funny. And I'm like, okay, great. And I leave and I go home and, I get to my house, and again, I live close. I get to my house and, I talked to Karen. I told her how it went. I was so proud and excited. I'm on cloud fucking 9. And Karen was making dinner when I walked in. And I told her, I go, I'm probably not going to have dinner. And she's like, why? And I said, I think I ate 30 kielbasa's today. And she's like, why? And I said, because I was eating it and they said it was funny. And then, I tried not to and that wasn't as funny. She's like, are you okay? I said, I think so. I think I'm just going to relax. And, I plopped my fat ass down on the couch and like didn't move. I couldn't move. And it was hot out. Like I told you, it was summer, but in my house it was cold because we had the air on. And plus we kept it the temperature of a freezer because I was going to sweat at all times because I was so fucking fat. Literally walking from the bathroom to the couch was going to get me sweaty. So I'm sitting there and I just start having meat sweats. Like crazy, like really kind of like an oil slick on the surface of my skin. I mean, I'm actually sweating kielbasa grease. That's what it feels like. I felt so gross. And I took 3 showers that night because I just kept sweating and I felt so sweaty and feverish almost. And it was just this, I was dealing with it and, wound up, I didn't throw up, but there were plenty of other activities that were involved in getting kielbasa out of my system, thank God. And I couldn't figure out also why I felt like kind of lightheaded too. So I actually went to bed early because I had to be on set early for them. So I go to bed early and I had trouble sleeping. I got cramps in my legs. Like I was tossing and turning. And I woke up in the middle of the night and the inside of my mouth, it felt like I'd been eating chalk. It was like powdery but dry, so dry. I didn't have an ounce of spit in my mouth, like not anywhere. And that happens sometimes because as a fat guy, I would wake up, I would sleep with my mouth open because, I'm fat and it would just automatically open on its own and I would snore and then I would breathe. It was terrible, horrible. Don't be fat. All right. If you are fat, stop being fat. So I woke up in the middle of the night. My mouth was so dry. I had to actually like coat it. Like I put water in my mouth and just let it sit in there to coat the inside of my mouth. And it still felt like it was dry even after I drank the water. I drank 2 bottles of water and I went back to sleep. And when I woke up the next morning, cause again, I had to be up early, my mouth, there was spit like in the corners of my mouth and around my lips, but it was salty. Like my mouth, the outside, my mouth was like the outside of a margarita glass. All right. It was like there was salt all the way around my lips and in the corner of my mouth from drink. Like when I drank that, my mouth had become a salt cavern. Basically, when I drank the water, it manifested itself. It made some spit and then it got on my lips and in my mouth. It was like I had salt caked around my mouth, dude. It was fucking brutal. And so I got up and I'm like, oh man, I don't know what the fuck I'm going to do today. So I got showered and dressed and I went to the show. And it was just for coverage, they said, but they wanted to do the same things that I had done the day before where they brought a camera up and they filmed me exclusively. They had 2 cameras on me exclusively. And they would say action. And I would wolf the kielbasas. And the first time around, I did it again where I ate 2 and then I didn't eat the rest. And the director came up to me and he goes, hey, you don't have to eat any today. It's fine. We're just doing it for coverage. We got a lot of good stuff yesterday. So you don't have to swallow if you don't want to. And I went, thank God. Okay. Thanks. And so I'd finished the scenes that I didn't eat. I just used the spit bucket the rest of the day. And then the show came out and I was so excited to see the show. I'm in the show for 3 seconds. Like they're telling me, they're like, dude, you're so funny. It's unbelievably funny. It's hysterical. And there's one shot. They didn't get me standing up. They didn't get the stew look. They didn't put any of that in there. Literally, they reveal me sitting at the table. And then there's one shot of me. And then when I lose, they were like, when you lose, they go, just pass out. Like, fall. And I go, you want me to go backwards or forwards? And they go, and they actually thought about it. They go, oh, that might be funny if you went backwards. And I go, yeah, that might be funny. Because I envisioned it where I would fall backwards and just be like laying there with like kielbasa in my hand. And they would film me like laying on the ground. And they were like, nah, because they didn't want me to hit my head or something. And I'm like, I don't, at this point, I had 80 kielbasas in me. I'm like, let's do it. I'll fucking do it. Let's do it. But they were like, nah, just fall forward. So I had to pretend like I was like all groggy, and I was like, and I fell face first into my kielbasas, and they called cut, and they fucking break out laughing, and they come up, they go, dude, you have no idea how hysterical that was. Oh my God, it was so great. And then I see the film again, literally it's a half a second in the actual show. So somewhere out there, there's all sorts of B-roll of me being hysterical, eating 45 fucking kielbasas. I almost literally had a heart attack. I was Chris Farley in a sketch. I almost had a heart attack that night. Waking up with my chest hurting and fucking salt all over my mouth just to be funnier for Bryan Cranston. That's all I wanted to be. Because again, and what's funny is, I'll tell you this, I said I'm so bad at business in the audition for Malcolm in the Middle. If they had a pan of kielbasa in the audition, I would have eaten those too. I don't give a fuck. At that time, I just didn't fucking care, man. I was plowing through and getting ready and trying to get a fucking roll. Who cares? I mean, honestly, if you're going to tell me you're going to pay me $2,500 to get the shit kicked out of me by a kielbasa, I'm in. Cough up the goddamn money. I don't care. Salt on my mouth, laying there, fucking wiped out. It doesn't matter. Heart attack. I need the fucking money. Pay me, motherfucker. Who among you out there is going to tell me that you wouldn't get slapped in the face by a wiener for $2,500? You would. By the way, if any altar boys are out there, and you've ever had to get slapped in the face by a wiener by a priest, just please reach out. That's awful. But yeah, man, somewhere out there's just B-roll of me getting the shit beat out of me by a kielbasa. I want that. They should make that a show. Fuck Malcolm in the Middle. It's Schmitty and the fucking sausage. There you go. Just fucking meat sweats and, it was grim. God, I felt awful. Horrible. I mean, I felt awful as a person anyway, being in a big fucking car and pants. Oh, dude, fat, awful. And it's funny because now, like I said, even losing weight, I can feel it. I'm lighter going downstairs, upstairs. It's easier. You just feel it. And it's funny, like, if there's other people out there, if they lost fucking 30 pounds, they'd just be like, oh my God, that's amazing. This is the greatest. I'm like, oh, only 100 more to go. Ha ha. A fucking 100. I got to lose 100 more. You know what, folks? If you're especially tiny, if you're like a woman of small stature, look in the mirror. I got to lose you. That's right. I got to run around until I sweat you off. Holy shit. That's creepy. But I'm going to fucking do it. God damn it. You know what? I'm going to do that. And once all right, I'm establishing it right now. There's a clock. All right. I'm going to lose because I'm at like 329 now. If I get to 220, I think I'll be able to live like a normal human being. If I get to 220, podcast ends. That's it. I'm serious. And I will weigh in when I get close. I will tell you. I'll keep it running, and I will tell you once I get to fucking 220, because then I don't have to share with you my innermost thoughts. I can go be a normal human being in society and function. I don't have to sit here behind a fucking microphone and share with you about the time a kielbasa kicked the shit out of me. I can go outside and talk to people and engage them in conversation like a normal human being. I can talk about lawns. I can touzle some child's hair and say, hey, look at this young man. Isn't he great? Let's have a catch. That's what I can do at 220. But as a fat monster, I have to sit in an office chair in a stripper's house and tell you all about my darkest secrets. No more. Gone. I get down to 220 and that's it. I'm going to be happy. I'll be happy, right? Won't I be happy? Isn't that what I'm chasing? God damn it, we'll be happy, right? Together? We're not ever going to be happy. Nobody's happy. No one in the world is happy. You realize that, right? I mean, you're you, and you might think that you're happy, and then you see your kids and your wife, and then in the darkest recesses of your mind, you're sitting there and you're like, fuck, really? This is it? Aren't we all thinking that? Isn't everybody out there just going at some point, wow, this is it. This is really it. I mean, I'm fucking 44. And I don't know what I expected. I guess it wasn't this. Man, is this it? This is it, right? This is it. This is what I've worked toward. How crazy is that? 20 years in this business, this is what I've worked for. Because I have the freedom. That's what I've always wanted, is the freedom to be able to do what I want and say what I want. But you know, if you're doing that and nobody's listening, then you're just a guy in a fucking hospital, right? But you're listening. You guys are listening, right? Is this it? Yeah, I guess this is it. And I guess I should be happy that this is it. As I come to you with my independent podcast. Folks, let me tell you about that. I'm going to make some people angry right now. Although I'm not really. You know why? Because they'll never listen to this. I was reached out to this week by a group of people called the Independent Podcast Alliance. And it's some people who do have podcasts, and they are upset that we are being, and I include me because they've included me. They're upset that these podcasts are not getting the coverage or the notoriety that they think they deserve or expect. I haven't gotten my finger on the pulse exactly what the Independent Podcast Alliance is doing. All I know is I was invited to join by a good friend who has a podcast, and I'll plug Daytime Justice, hosted by Sharon Houston. It's called Daytime Justice. Go ahead and check it out. Sharon Houston is funny and hot, so I can only imagine the podcast is great. Because let me tell you, you know what translates well on a fucking radio show? Hot. But Sharon's funny and hot, so go listen to Daytime Justice. But they contacted me to be. She invited me, and I joined. Look, I'm a sheep. All right, folks, I'm a lemming. I don't check things out. And when my good friend Sharon Houston says, "Why don't you join?" I just go, "Okay," because she wouldn't steer me wrong. Because again, if I mention she's hot and funny, not necessarily in that order, flip them. Really, they're interchangeable. She's as funny as she is hot. So I joined the Independent Podcast Alliance, and I go to the page, and it's a bunch of people with podcasts. And it's not a bunch yet. I should say it's so far. I think it's a closed page, and there's only a few people on there. But and it's a bunch of guys with podcasts who are wondering why the larger entities that review podcasts only review the same ones. And as I was reading their questions about that, in my head I was formulating an answer, and that answer is because those people are famous, and they have a lot of people who listen to them. Maybe that's why the people are reviewing their shows. I mean, certainly I'm sure there's other people out there discovering undiscovered podcasts and championing them. But guess what? They're as unread as our podcasts are unlistened to. Okay? It's the popular podcasts that are reviewed by the popular sites, and I understand you're trying to put an end to that circle of life, but unfortunately, I don't see it happening anytime soon. Because nobody goes, hey, let's review a bunch of podcasts nobody's ever heard from, because then the general public isn't going to get the sexy names. Nobody out there is thinking, man, I wonder what Mike Schmidt is up to. Nobody gives a fuck about me, all right? They care about Rogan, they care about Marin, they care about Pardo, they care about Kevin Smith, Corolla. Those are the big names, and those are the sexy names. And those are people, here's the other thing, too. Those people were established and had a built-in audience before they came to podcasting. Although I would say Pardo and Marin not as much as the other guys. Obviously, Rogan, Kevin Smith, and Corolla were certainly infinitely more famous than Mark Maron and Jimmy Pardo. Mark Maron and Jimmy Pardo carved out their niche in podcasting. They were famous. They were really good at what they did, and then they brought it to the podcasting arena. The other guys brought a name and are also really good at it. They've gotten better at it, whatever they wanted to do. Who cares? They do the show they want to do. I'm not here to cast aspersions on anybody. Good for you. But the point is, nobody knows the fuck we are, guys. No, and forming the fucking hall of podcasting justice is not going to help. I really don't think so. I don't know what you're trying to do. I mean, I guess I'm on board. I don't want to be a guy who casts aspersions, but I just don't know. I don't know what we're hoping to accomplish, because again, on the page, it's a lot of guys telling each other about their podcasts. Well, fuck, call me. I mean, you can do that. And again, I think it's a closed page. Who are you getting the word out to? Fellow podcasters? I guess I'm supposed to promote you on my show. And I think that's what they said. It was like a way to promote and network and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, but then nobody contacted me except Sharon. Like, here's the thing. All right, again, I'm a child. Please enjoy this. All right. I'm a child, and I perceive slights where there are none. Texting to me is a fucking chore, because I will read whatever you text. I will read it into a bad way, no matter what the fuck you meant. I will read it in a way where it makes me look bad, and I'm wondering why you don't like me. I mean, it's my crazy fucking head, and it literally, if I ever text with anybody like that, it's like an apology fest. It's like, sorry, no, I'm sorry, no, I'm sorry. It's awful. It's fun, it's beautiful, but also at the same time, you're just like, because you try to convince somebody, look, I'm okay. Who cares? Whatever. So, on the page, this is what happened was someone mentioned by name on the page. Our friend Paul Goebel mentioned me on the page. And then Sharon Houston, who I actually saw her, I haven't seen her for 6 months. I went to a live taping of the David Feldman podcast. And they do their show sometimes in front of a live audience. So I went to the live taping. And Sharon was there. And we talked. And I told her about my podcast. And she was like, oh, that's great. Really cool. So this person mentioned me on the page. Paul Goebel mentioned me. And underneath it in the comments, Sharon Houston went, somebody needs to get Mike Schmidt on here. He was the first guy I thought about when I heard about this. And the guy who started the page, I'm not going to say his name, which seems antithetical because that's exactly what he wanted me to do, right? By starting the Independent Podcasting Alliance and inviting me to come on board. Doesn't he want me to say his name? He probably does, but I mean, I don't know. But because I'm about to say something that probably isn't great, he's not going to enjoy, I'm not going to say his name just yet. Perhaps he'll want me to say it at another time. But he wrote under Sharon's name, I don't know Mike Schmidt. Could somebody invite him? Well, since you've appointed yourself the Hawkman of the Justice League of Podcasters, why the fuck aren't you inviting me to the page? Aren't you the guy running the page? And are you now establishing a hierarchy of people you've never heard of? So it doesn't make you just as guilty as the mainstream media that's only looking at the popular podcast. You couldn't be bothered to look me up and find my page and send me an invite and an email telling me what we're hoping to accomplish with the Independent Podcasting Alliance? And again, I'm a child, folks. I recognize that. But I considered it a slight. I was like, for him to write that, hey, I don't know, Mike Schmidt, can somebody invite him? Well, why do you fucking invite me, motherfucker? Tell me who you are and what you're doing. And again, that's awful. It's just awful. I shouldn't be saying these things, but it's like that's how I felt right when I read it. Now I'm sure we're great friends and we'll go to a podcasting lunch. I can't wait. I can't wait to join the rest of the Independent Podcast Alliance as we sit around a table like the convicts and the Witness Protection Program in My Blue Heaven. As we order popovers and bitch about how we can't get good spaghetti and nobody listens to our shows. I cannot wait for that to happen. I do enough bitching on here about how nobody listens to my fucking show. You need me to bitch about it on the Facebook page now? By the way, grumble, nobody heard me this week, and I told a funny story about eating 40 kielbasa. That's not funny! Holy shit! God damn it. I don't know. It just seemed like so weird. Well, so I don't know, Mike Schmo. Somebody invited. Like, he can't be bothered. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing besides organizing the Independent Podcast? Are you maybe he's designing his costume. I have no idea. Maybe he just poured the latex into the mold and he's waiting for his cowl to set. I have no idea why he couldn't be bothered to send me an invitation to the Independent Podcast Alliance. But motherfucker, if you want to grow this thing, God damn it, reach out and glad hand somebody. I'm on Facebook. There's 1,000 pages. If you put in 40-year-old boy, 1,000 pages would come up. One for every listener I have. Man, you can't be bothered. I don't know, Mike Schmidt. Someone want to invite him? Nah, nobody does. No, because I'm busy. I'm unfortunately busy organizing the World Podcasting Entertainment Company to battle you for listeners as we fight over the scraps of the podcasting world. Seriously, maybe he could be designing the title belt. I have no idea what he's doing there. He's organizing a loser leaves the internet match held in a cage as we'll out-broadcast one another. We'll just talk furiously until somebody passes out. I got to be honest, if that's the thing, you need to think twice because you are all going down. If that's your plan, if you plan on having like a fucking podcasting battle royal in a steel cage and the loser leaves the internet and we just get in and we start talking until the last guy is standing, I got news for you. It will be a pile of fucking podcasting bodies. Just literally, I will be ankle deep in independent podcasters looking in the distance with the fucking stew look over every goddamn one of you. You guys can get me at mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can be my friend at Facebook.com/the40-year-old-boy. You can follow me on Twitter at Twitter.com/the40-year-old-boy. You can follow our friend Lily Von Stupp. She's the producer of this show. You can follow her on Twitter at two different accounts, Twitter.com/Lily Von Stupp or Twitter.com/MNTs. But that's for public Lily. If you want to get to private Lily, if you want to find out about her and you want to find out about her wild weekend with David Cross, Stan Lee, and Paul Rubens. The four of them will never be the same.
That's awesome.
You can write her a note at lily@burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com.
Zazzle.com/40-year-old-boy. Please buy all his stuff.
Want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas every Monday night at Santa Monica and Vine. The Three Clubs is the name of the club. Coming up this week, there's an amazing show hosted by somebody that we're all very close to. Hey, Lily Von Stupp.
Hey, Mike.
Who's hosting the show this week?
Me.
What the hell?
I know.
That's amazing. You get to see Business Lily if you get there early, and then you get to see Performing Lily if you stick around. And then afterwards, you get to see a euphoric Lily who's happy that everything went well. Yes. Is this a theme show? How did Toddlers and Tiaras go?
Oh my Christ! It was disturbingly awesome. It was loved across the board, and congratulations to Rob the Balloon Boy, who is the new Little Mr. Hollywood Burlesque, and congratulations to Miss Vanity Flair, who is the Little Miss Hollywood Burlesque Queen.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Sounds like it was a lot of fun.
Fantastic.
All right, Rob the Balloon Boy, he's Mr. Hollywood? Is that what he is now? How many contestants were in that, really?
It was just
Yeah, it had to be Rob, right? Because, Rob's cute as a button. I mean, he's just, I've seen him.
The joke was there there's only one. Because there's always like 1 or 2 boys in the categories.
Oh.
And then 100 women on the show.
I
or
see.
Girls competing.
So he was the only one, so he
So
wanted.
He was the only
yeah.
one, yes.
Because I've been to breakfast with Rob, and he sits in a little booster chair with his feet swinging.
He does.
That's a cute kid. You know, and you'll tell him, you'll be like, "Oh, you're so cute," and then he forms a balloon into a heart and hands it to you. "Oh, you're so nice." It's like if a puppy had human form. It's Rob.
Rob is awesome.
Yeah, he's great. I like him. So that show was last week, Toddlers and Tiaras. This week, you're hosting. Who else is there?
I have Russell Bruner and Sugar Cane and, oh, damn it, I can't remember the other girl's name, coming down from Portland. I have Dolores, shit, I can't remember her name either, from Australia coming in.
Sounds
Jezebel
good.
Thunder locally.
Okay.
I mean, it's going to be a great show. Paula
Awesome.
Baby. It's going to be awesome.
Cool. And I will throw out this message to Sabrina. If you're going, I told Lily, and you're on the list. So, because you wrote me and whatever. So, and I don't know if I'll be there. I don't know if I can. I hope to be. But although I told Lily, all right, Sabrina is a listener who's going to be in Los Angeles. She asked if I was going to be performing, and I said I was not. Because nobody knows who I am, nobody cares, and so she's like, "Well, then I recommended." I said, if you're in town, you really should try to go to the Tees. And she wrote me back and said, "Oh, we were definitely going to the Tees on the 12th. It would be nice to meet you though, and put a name to the or a face to the voice of that I've heard over the years. Shake your hand." And so I might be able to come. I don't know if I'm going to be able to or not. So I just I apparently, because I don't have your phone number, I use this to let you know. Yeah, it's so weird. I started talking about it, and then I'm like, why are you talking about this? But who cares? But don't text me, because I'll think you're insulting me. I was going to come to the show this Monday, but nobody invited me. They said to Lily, and Lily's like, I don't know, Mike Schmidt, who's going to invite him? Could somebody please invite him? I have a feeling I'm going to be kicked out of the Independent Podcasting Alliance. God damn it. I'm going to have to go rogue. I'm like Lobo. I'm going to be, just fragging. All right, so that's the great Monday Night Teas. Next Monday, Lily is hosting, and she's going to be there killing it, and that'll be fun. And go and check out the show. Should be exciting. Remember, you can be my friend, like I said, on Facebook.com/the40year-old boy. While you're there, be friends with Lily Von Stupp and also David Hernandez, who does all of the artwork and the songs and the music and the drops and all of the stuff that makes this show a show. That's what David Hernandez does. Go ahead and be their friends on Facebook as well. Remember that you're there, and there's all these pages. Well, let me tell you this first. There's MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Okay, yeah, we're not bad. Okay, pointing at numbers. I'm sorry, I got lost there. Where was I?
You were talking about MikeSchmidtComedy.com.
I sure was. And if you go there, folks, you go to the Joe Business page. Go to the Joe Business page, and on there, there's the download sets are for sale year 1, year 2, and year 3, or they're together. You can buy them as a group. There's also links to the Zazzle store. There's also links to tweakedaudio.com/40, where you can buy earbuds or you can buy cock ring watches. And remember, also, if you just go to tweakedaudio.com, remember to use the promo code 40 if you buy anything, and then we all get credit. It's fantastic. And then I go to the Independent Podcast Alliance, and I split the take as we sit around in a fucking Caro's and eat stroganoff together, discussing how we can get noticed. I'm an idiot. See, they should not have invited me, because they didn't. You know why? Because they don't realize I'm a jagoff. Because he doesn't know me. I don't know if you know. I don't know Mike Schmidt. He's a jagoff. Don't invite him. He would have known. But Sharon Houston was nice enough and hot enough to invite me. She was. That sounded stupid. So go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Again, links to Tweaked, links to Zazzle, links to buy the download sets, links to donate to the show. You can make a one-time donation to the show, or you can make a subscription where you can pay $2 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month. And then if you do donate to the show or you make a subscription, I will mention you on the show. People like, let's take a look. Oh, I had a list. I swear, we had a car waiting. Here's a person named Tony M. Tony M donated to the show. Thank you so much, Tony. I appreciate it. I think I met Tony M. No, I met a different Tony. I've met a lot of people, folks. I go on the road and do things. And I met a different Tony, I think. I don't think I met Tony M. Tony M is nice. And also, here's someone who does, here's a gentleman who donated to the show. I should tell you this, by the way. If you make a one-time donation or any donation at all, if you subscribe, if you want me to say your full name on the show, you need to send me a follow-up email telling me to do so. I will do that. So like I said, Tony M, nice guy, did not bother to send a follow-up email telling me to say his full name, so he stays Tony M. That's who he is. However, if you're someone like Brian Lowry, then your full name gets used on the show because you told me to use your full name on the show. And this is also Brian Lowry's third donation to the show. Thank you so much, Brian Lowry. We appreciate it. That's really nice of you. Also, if you are Will Pfeiffer, you will he told me to use his full name on the show, and Will Pfeiffer went ahead and donated, and we appreciate that very much. It is Will Pfeiffer because it's spelled like Pfeiffer, but he made a point to tell me it was Pfeiffer. So I'm making sure that I say Will Pfeiffer. I'm pretty sure that's what it. Now don't shake your head because now you got me doubting myself. Well, you got me doubting myself. That's not good. So there's Tony M., Brian Lowry, Will Pfeiffer, and now I have to go ahead and address something here really quick, folks. Let's talk about this just for a second. There's a guy out there who wrote me a note, and here was his note. He said, hey, first of all, I got to tell you something about your show. It sounds kind of quiet. I'm wondering about it, and if there's a way to go ahead and boost the sound on it, that'd be great. I've already written Lily, but she didn't get back to me, so I'm a little disappointed not to get a hold of her, but that's fine. Also, I've donated to the show twice. You've never said my name. I guess you all hate me over there. I can't figure it out. So I wrote him back, and I said, hey, I have said your name twice because you donate under one name, but when you sign your name in your email, it's different. But you've never written me and told me which name to use. I've actually written you and asked. So why don't you tell me what name you want me to use? And then he wrote me, and he goes, oh, well, you know what? I didn't mean to come on so strong. Absolutely, the show's great. I love it. I donate. And then he donated again that day. So that is a guy named Blake Gerardo. Blake Gerardo went ahead and donated to the show. And before I was saying his name as James G because I was getting the donation as like James Gerardo and it didn't say my full name. So, of course, when you say James G and you're Blake Gerardo, you don't think that's you. But I've said it a couple of times in the past, and I tried to explain that to him. And he was like, look, I love the show. It's fantastic. And he even donated again that day, and he's great. So he's donated 3 times now, Blake Gerardo. And here's how old I am. Okay. I wrote him and I go, look, I'll say your name. I'll say the full name. Do you want it to be Blake or James? I've already said it before. I go, let me ask you this. Do you want me to, is your name, just tell me how your name's pronounced. Is it Gerardo, like Rico Suave? Or is it something different? And I hit send. And then I went, if this guy is any younger than 30, he is going to have no fucking idea what I meant by, is it Gerardo like Rico Suave? None. Not an inkling of a fucking clue is he going to know what that meant. But then he wrote me back and he goes, yeah, it's Gerardo like the Rico Suave dude. Gerardo. And I was like, so apparently he's older than 30, or I was just, my assumptions were incorrect. Yeah. How great is Rico Suave, by the way? God damn, that song's the best. There's a hot redhead in that video. No one cares. So Blake Gerardo is very Rico Suave with his 3 donations. And by the way, I should mention this. He may have not said that it was quiet. He may have said that the bit rate was too high, because I'm getting that from people too. Look, let me just clarify this for everybody who writes me and tells me that the bit rate is too high. I understand what you're saying. I like it that high. Okay, so no, what that was the explanation. I like it that high. I like a hefty podcast. Look, I'm in the Independent Podcast Alliance, folks. You can't tell me how big or small my show needs to be. You know what? Take it up with fucking Hawkman. Why is Hawkman the leader? He's not the leader. Shazam's the leader. No, he's not Shazam. Who's in the... it's Batman, Superman, Aquaman. Aquaman's the leader. You know why? Yeah, he fucked that. He might not be the leader like on the battlefield, but certainly he's back at the fucking Hall of Podcasting Justice doing all the paperwork. Aquaman can't get out of the water. He's got a pen that writes underwater. Well, he's in he's got those weird gloves like in Silkwood when you put your hands in the gloves and you write. They built a desk for Aquaman in a fish tank. That's what they did. They built a desk for Aquaman in a fish tank, and he has gloves that reach out, and he can actually work on the paperwork outside because they needed to do it. Because you know what? They voted him the business guy, and Aquaman's like, fuck that, I'm Aquaman. And they were like, nah, you're the business guy. And he's like, you know what? I'd love to do it. Unfortunately, the papers will get wet. I'm under the water. Remember me? I can't do that. And a manatee might eat our homework. And they're like, you know what? Hold on. And Superman, like super fast, built a fucking giant fish tank with gloves out and they said, there you go. And Aquaman just grumbled and he had no choice. What's he going to do? Fight Superman? Fuck you. Aquaman sits in that fish tank and puts his hands in the gloves and signs a bunch of papers. Aquaman, he's a notary public who can talk to tuna. That's who fucking Aquaman is. Fuck you, Aquaman. You trying to come out with your fucking powers and bullshit? No one's interested in you and your nonsense. Fucking yellow and green. And sometimes you wear a crown. Ugh. A crown of what? Who are you the king of? Smelt? Do our taxes, Aquaman. That's what the rest of the heroes are saying. Do our fucking taxes. Fucking Aquaman sits in that fish tank and he's like, so, Wonder Woman, is there depreciation on the invisible plane? I don't know. You figure it out. I got crime to fight. He's just fucking writing shit and notarizing it. God damn it. Fucking dolphin comes by and laughs at him. He's like, fuck you, I'm Aquaman. All right. He makes that head ray come out because that's the one thing he can do is he makes a dolphin go and get him something. All right. So. So if you're Brian Lowry, Will Pfeiffer, Blake Gerardo, or Tony M., thank you so much for your donation to the show. We really appreciate it. It was great and grand. Want to remind you guys about this, too, I will tell you. Coming up this Thursday, that's tomorrow. I remember my friend David Williams, who was the guy who told me to do a one-man show and then helped produce my show in New York, and actually is the only reason I'm even going on the road. It was genuinely his idea, and he made it happen. He has a show premiering in St. Louis this week, Thursday, September 8th at the Hot City Theater in St. Louis. Tickets are available at hotcitytheater.org. The show is called The Winners. And I think I told you before, it's about a couple. Literally, I have like 40,000 word description here, but all you need to know is it's about a couple that wins the lottery and hires a hooker to join them for a three-way. That's it. You don't need any more explanation, and then because then you need to see what happens. It's Cassie and Kurt. They're in their 30s. They win $337 million in the lottery, and they hire an Asian hooker. Done. I go, fuck, I might get a plane ticket to fucking St. Louis just to see it myself. I may just go out and find a couple somewhere and say, hey, and bring an Asian hooker and have them sit at the table and just watch them eat together. I don't care. If you tell me there's a couple and an Asian hooker and $337 million involved, I don't fucking care. I'm buying a ticket and watching it. They could be juggling. They could be polishing a floor. I don't fucking care. I'm in. So remember, it's called The Winners. It's at the Hot City Theater in St. Louis, Thursday, September 8th through Sunday, September 24th. But I'm telling you, the world premiere is Thursday, September 8th. And the tickets are available at hotcitytheater.org. Remember, the show is called The Winners, written by my friend David Williams. He is the best. Go and support that show, please. I would if I was in St. Louis. I am not in St. Louis. Is it if I were in St. Louis or was? You know what? Just meet me in St. Louis. Yes, I'm an old grandfather. Remember on Facebook, there are all sorts of pages to bring me to your town. On Facebook.com/the40-year-old-boy, you'll find pages to bring me. All right, there's a couple of things I have to tell you here. First, there's pages like Boston and Cleveland, Atlanta, and I have to start a Kickstarter page for Boston, and I will explain that in a minute. But right now, I want to tell you that, again, there's all these other pages that you can sign up to bring me to your town that are active. And I do have shows where I'm going to be coming to town. Next week, which is next Friday, I will be in Denver at Denver's Dangerous Theater. The show's at 8 o'clock. Tickets are $20, available at brownpapertickets.com. Right? .com or .org. Brownpapertickets.com. Go there and get tickets for Denver's Dangerous Theater. And while you're there, you're going to search Mike Schmidt or search the 40-year-old boy, and it's going to come up, and you're going to see a Denver page. You can buy tickets for Denver. Well, you're also going to see another page there, folks. As I mentioned last week, I will be coming to Milwaukee, Wisconsin. That's right, November 25th, which is the Friday after Thanksgiving. And I found that out as I looked for. I knew that, but then when I looked for plane tickets, that was great. So I'm still debating whether I fly into Chicago or whether I come in early and I spend Thanksgiving with one of you fine folks. I don't know what I'm going to do. But remember that I will be in Milwaukee at the Carte Blanche Studios. That's Milwaukee, November 25th. That's the Thursday after Thanksgiving. And I've already sold more than a few tickets for that, which is pretty cool. Denver's leveled off. And by leveled off, I mean I have not sold a ticket in about a month. I had a big burst right in the beginning. That's a lie. I actually sold 2 more yesterday. But yeah, so if you want to buy tickets for Denver, they're available at brownpapertickets.com. Also, if you want to buy tickets for Milwaukee at the Carte Blanche Studios, remember the Success Is Not an Option tour is coming there. There will be T-shirts in Denver. I just saw them today, and they are fucking great. And I will see. There will also be. We're debating about Milwaukee. There will be shirts, but I just got to figure out. We got to figure it all out. But if you're not in Milwaukee, and you're not in Denver, and you're thinking, how can I see Mike Schmidt? Let me tell you something, folks. Right now, at brownpapertickets.com, when you Google and you find Denver and you find Milwaukee, right now, by the time you hear this, you will see more, because there are more shows to announce. That's right. Shows plural. October 28th, I will be at the Avalon Theater in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Woohoo! Someone finally answered the phone. I have been trying for months and months and months to come to Minneapolis. I could not get anybody on the phone, but I will tell you this. There is a consequence to all of that. The people who return my calls and try to get a hold of me, or people who wouldn't return my calls, those are the theaters that I wanted to be in because they were small and I thought they would be perfect for what I was trying to do. I also reached out to some other theaters once I was finding out that nobody was getting a hold of me. I kind of shotgunned a bunch of theaters. So last week, I got an email from a guy at the Avalon Theater in Minnesota, in Minneapolis. And he's like, and I had written him a month prior. And he's like, hey, I just got this email. I don't know how I missed it. What are you looking for? And I was just so happy to hear from some guy in Minnesota that I wrote him immediately, and I called him. And we talked, and he could not have been nicer or more cool and great. The only thing is, I will tell you about this room in Minneapolis. I've been playing small rooms. Anybody who's come to see the shows, I'm expecting anywhere, crowds from like 40 to 75 people. And I've been booking theaters appropriate to that. Like, you know, the most I think I've ever booked was like an 80-seat theater. New York had like 70. I mean, and I've been getting decent crowds. Again, it's hard to do, as you know. Nobody knows who I am. Well, the Avalon Theater is really cool, and the guy was really great, and they're really nice, and he's like, we'd love to have you. We'll handle the music, definitely, and it's an amazing spot. We'd love to have your show here. By the way, it's 218 seats.
Wow.
There's little to no chance I sell out 1/5 of that place. Really. I mean, I guarantee you that I just don't see it happening. But I put it to you. If you people in Minneapolis think that you have people out there who would like what I do and want to come out to the show, get the word out, do what you can. Max and I are thinking about sending flyers out there. I had somebody offer to put flyers up on the campus at UM. I've had people who've, offered to get involved. There's a guy in Milwaukee who's going to do an interview with me for a blog, and I guess it's a popular political blog. I don't know why you'd want to talk to me for that. But I'm glad. Anything that gets the word out. So Minneapolis is going to be a chore. And like I said, I guarantee I probably, if I sell out 1/5 of it, then I'm going to be happy. We're all going to sit up near the front, and I'm still going to do the same great fucking show that you would get in any other city. But here's one cool thing about the Avalon Theater. Again, they were really easygoing and really friendly and nice. It's normally a puppet theater. From what I understand, they do puppet shows and stuff for kids. I'm not kidding. And I said to him, I go, no, the kids are going to wander in while I'm there, right? I go, it's a little salty. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. I can see that. I said, all right. But also, dude, the theater out front has a marquee, like an old school theater. And he goes, we'll put up Mike Schmidt, Success is Not an Option, the 40-Year-Old Boy Tour, and the date. And he goes, it'll be on the marquee when you play here. And that made up my mind. I was like, honestly, if I get 1/10, if I get 20 people in a 200-seat theater, it's going to suck, but it'll all be worth it when I walk outside and see that fucking sign and I put and I take a picture of it just to have the photo. Literally, I'm doing the show in Minneapolis because you people have been really dedicated and wanted me there, and for the photo op. I mean, Jesus, how often am I going to get to be on a marquee? I mean, that's fucking, it's like even when I go to Vegas and I would play at the Riv and my name would be on the sign out back. That was pretty cool to see your name up, in Vegas especially, it's all lit up. But Jesus, it's an old theater. It's a big theater marquee. And he said, yeah, we'll tell me what to put up and I'll put it up there. It'll be there for you. So that's why I'm doing the Avalon Theater. So that's fantastic. October 28th, tickets available at brownpapertickets.com. I will be in Minneapolis, Minnesota at the Avalon Theater, which I've heard is a nice space, and it's going to be huge. It's a barn, and I hope I get some people in there. And I will tell you this, November 4th, Chicago, Illinois. Stage 773, ladies and gentlemen. I will be in Chicago. That's right. It's the big homecoming show. I don't know what that means. I may get less people than I get in Minnesota. I don't think I haven't thought of this. I'm doing Minnesota on October 28th, Chicago on November 4th, Milwaukee on November 25th. I might be cannibalizing my audience a little bit there. Because there are people who would have driven from, Milwaukee to see me in Chicago and vice versa. There are people who would have gone from, maybe Minneapolis to Milwaukee. But I've booked them all, and if it hurts me, it hurts me, because I wanted to go and do these cities, and the people that are there really supported me. And fuck Chicago. How do I not come back to fucking Chicago? So Stage 773, which is a brand new facility. It's on Belmont. I heard it's real nice. They were real cool. Looked like it was done, and then I was going to announce it last week, and then it fell through. But then I was able to finally talk to them and square it up, and it turned out everything is fine. So that show, I will tell you, in Chicago, in Minnesota, I'm the only game in town. In Milwaukee, I'm the only game in town. In Chicago, there will be a show after me. So the show will start at 7:30 in Chicago, and then we will have to move a T-shirt / meet and greet / photo opportunity / avert your eyes, I can't believe he bombed thing to the lounge. She told me, I already cleared it with her. She said, yeah, there's definitely space for you to do that here. So that's great. So again, remember, Denver's Dangerous Theater on September 16th. Milwaukee's Carte Blanche Studios on November 25th. Minneapolis, the Avalon Theater on October 28th, and Chicago, Stage 773 on November 4th. Tickets are on sale now at brownpapertickets.com. Go ahead and pick those up now and come see me then. And by the way, East Coast, I have not forgotten about you. As I've mentioned, Washington, Cleveland, Atlanta, Boston. You guys are still on the agenda. I need to get the Kickstarter pages going, and that's a saga. I went to do it. I was going to do it last Friday. It was all set to be done. And then I'm learning a lot more about Kickstarter and me and the internet than I really cared to. So I'll get into it. I'll talk about it later. But eventually there will be Kickstarter pages, and then we can go ahead and possibly bring me to Boston and stuff. The other shows, like I said, it's easier plane-wise. And the East Coast, the reason I need to do the Kickstarter is A, I'm trying an experiment, and B, it's more expensive to go out there. So hopefully we can make it happen. But those pages will be up and running soon, I hope. And now I feel like there was something I was supposed to say. Lily just hit herself in the chest. Did you guys hear that? That was funny. There was something, because when I hit myself in the chest, I was telling a story about, I was telling Malcolm in the Middle, but it started where? It started somewhere else.
You said you almost died and you were at the nurses. And you were
Oh, yeah. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, so I almost killed myself this week. I almost died. God, I forgot. I can't believe I forgot that. You were supposed to remind me. What are you doing? Oh, all right, fine. But you're supposed to remind me earlier. Well, nobody knows, because nobody listens to this part of the show. Everybody's gone by now. They're like, you know what? His voice is shot at the end. It's just plugs we've heard a million times. We don't want to fucking hear it. All right, I wasn't at the doctor because I almost died. I was at the doctor for something completely unrelated. And while I was there, I got weighed. Nobody wants to hear about real life, but how I almost killed myself. This is totally. I'm all right. I'm in my house, and I'm aggressive. That's what I was saying. I'm very aggressive in everything that I do. Like I said, when I hit myself in the chest, I'm very aggressive. Well, unfortunately, I'm also aggressive in like menial tasks. Like I will open the fridge aggressively, and shit will fall off the door onto the ground, like eggs. Like, it's like, I don't know why. I just do. It's because I'm prepared for and you know what? Part of it is also feeling my muscles again. You know what I mean? And getting back into being me and trying to be a guy. And it's testosterone. And I like working out and running and being a man. So I show, you know how I show I'm a man? I beat the shit out of inanimate objects. Stupid. I fucking rip open the fridge and I open cabinets and horrible. So I also aggressively brush my teeth. And I've been warned by the dentist not to do so, all right, even though I do. So I, earlier in the week, and it's funny, I'll show Lily, I don't know if she can see it. You see that?
Yeah.
Okay, earlier in the week, I was brushing my teeth, and when I brush my teeth, it's like, your arm is like a piston, and it's going fucking fast, and I do it like I'm hammering nails. Like, I'm that fucking brushing, because you got to get these fucking teeth clean. They're covered with film and plaque. You saw the fucking TV show. Whenever you see a commercial, it's always like invisible plaque and it's lurking. Get off my fucking teeth, invisible plaque. I hate it. So I was brushing my teeth really hard. And you do the top and the sides and do inside the mouth. You do the tongue. And as I was doing it, my toothbrush came all the way out of my mouth, and I jammed it back in, and I hit myself in the lip, and I cut my lip open on my bottom tooth, like open, like bleeding, like heavy bleeding in my mouth. And I gotta admit, it looked pretty awesome. Again, being a guy, because you look up and there's just like fucking the hot pink of close up in my mouth, and then just fucking blood running out. I looked like Gene Simmons at the dentist. It was great. Just fucking, and so then it mixes with the blood. And it's got that metallic taste, and look, there's something about the taste of blood that makes you feel like a guy. I mean, there just is. All right. So I'm brushing my teeth, and then I'm bleeding, and it's like you like let it run down your face, and you kind of spit it out, and it's like make an evil blood stain in the goddamn sink. It was you pretend you're like a tough guy. I did. So, but that's not how I almost died. That was just, but this literally this week, that's earlier in the week, and there's still a scar there. You can see it. So I'm brushing and I'm bleeding and I'm brushing and I'm bleeding and I'm done. So then I walk out and I get blood on my face, and I'm let that stay there for a little while. It's like when I was a little kid, once I used to put a bandage on my nose because I thought it looked tough. I would put a bandage across the bridge of my nose like I was in a movie, like I was a tough guy, and I would go to school with a bandage on my nose. Everybody's like, "What happened?" I just, I can't talk about it. Like, I was a weird kid. Again, I'm the kid who faked his glasses test. I told you that. I'm that guy. So, because I was also perennially younger than my group because I skipped 2 grades. Why am I doing more shows? Stop doing the show. So how I almost died, though, you'd think I'd learned my lesson from cutting open my mouth. No, fuck that. I'm aggressive. So I'm aggressively cleaning my teeth again because the plaque comes back. I don't know if you know that when you go to sleep, the plaque comes back. I saw it on a commercial. Oh my God. They show your mouth and there's like monsters in there and they're running around. It's not like a dog's mouth. The dog's mouth, because it's clean. It's filled with literally, because whenever you brush your teeth, or they show a commercial, there's like gremlins in your mouth that live in your teeth. But a dog's mouth has there's like little red crosses, because don't they heal cuts when they lick you? Right? Dogs do that, right? That's what I heard as a kid. So I'm brushing my teeth and I'm fucking, I'm careful not to cut my mouth again because 4 cuts in a mouth is going to be bad. I just one cut you look tough, 4 cuts you look like your ass beat by a fucking toothbrush. Nobody wants that. So I'm brushing my teeth, top, sides, bottom, and I have to go up and down, up and down. They told me to do that because I had a gum thing, and I'm up and down, up and down, up and down. And I brush my teeth 3 times a day, and I floss 2 times a day. I'm that guy because I don't want to lose my fucking choppers. So go by year 1 and 2. It explains all my dental bullshit. So, and also I kind of like pain in my mouth. I've told you that before. So I'm brushing my teeth, and then I brush my tongue. And I aggressively brush my tongue. My tongue sticks out, and I do front to back, like all the, and it's like I'm like scrubbing it like you're scrubbing a stain out of a rug. And as I'm doing it, I'm like, shh. And then for some reason, I don't know why, I lost control of it. Remember how I accidentally, when I was brushing my teeth, I pulled my toothbrush all the way out of my mouth and then back in one motion, and I cut my mouth? Yeah, this time it was deep in my mouth, deep, and I went wham! And I hit my uvula with the toothbrush. I hit the back of my throat with my with hard, not like, oh, that was an accident, but no, like, oh, somebody just kicked me in the fucking throat and I can't breathe. Like I was brushing, and I'm not kidding. I got a mouthful of toothpaste and it's like wham. Imagine your because I also use, all right, I'll tell you this. I use a huge saucer toothbrush, it's called a Reach toothbrush. No, not a Reach. It's called a Radius toothbrush. You can only buy them like at Whole Foods, and they're like fucking $9. Believe me, it's the only toothbrush I use. It's gigantic because it's got a huge big round head at the end. And when I was in Chicago, I made Mex drive me to 3 stores looking for one because I had forgotten mine in California. That's how weird I am about it. So because I can't brush my teeth with a little brush because I got a big mouth. So it works against you when you use it as a weapon. Because the giant, the huge head, it looks like a teaspoon with a toothbrush on it. It's that big around. And I hammered the back of my throat, and to the point where I coughed. I went, oh, and I coughed up. I gagged and choked, and I coughed an involuntary cough, and I coughed like close up and foam, like toothpaste foam all over the sink and the mirror. And then I inhaled, and when I inhaled, I sucked in all of the toothpaste down my throat, like the minty hot, that foam that's in your mouth. And then I had pain in my throat, and it went into my throat. But here's the thing, I couldn't swallow because I had hit my throat and it was dealing with what had happened, like the trauma. So all of the stuff went to the top of my throat, and I couldn't get rid of it. And I couldn't make it. I was like, and I was trying to cough it out or swallow it, and it wouldn't go either way. There was a fucking traffic jam because my neck was like, dude, what the fuck just happened? We're under attack. So my throat swelled up to deal with that, and it closed with all of that toothpaste foam there, and I started choking. And I was alone in the house, and I couldn't do anything. And I'm looking in the mirror, and I swear to God, this is so true. I'm like, and I'm trying to cough, but I couldn't cough, and the throat like closed up, and I'm standing there and I'm in pain and it hurt and my eyes are watering. And I looked in the mirror, even as choking, and I swear to God true, I smiled, looking at myself in the mirror going, this is how you die. This is how you fucking die. You dipshit. 2 days ago, you had a warning. You were sent a warning about aggressive toothbrushing, and you chose to ignore it thinking you looked like a tough guy, and now you're going to die because you rammed a bristle-covered teaspoon into your uvula. That's how you check out. That's how you disappear from this fucking planet. You're going to stand here and choke on toothpaste foam while your throat deals with the fact that you hit it with a spoon. You dumb motherfucker. And they're going to find you on the floor, and you know what they're going to say? Well, at least his teeth were clean. That's the only thing they're going to say. Wow, 3 times a day? Well, who brushes their teeth with a fucking shovel? I do. And then I hit myself with it, and I fucking swell up and die. I smiled in the mirror knowing that was going to be my final goodbye. Literally, I almost wrote a note on, I'm an idiot in toothpaste foam on the goddamn mirror, realizing that I had almost killed myself with a fucking toothbrush. I was dead. I knew it. I was slipping away. I was choking and gagging. And then finally it started to go down my throat. And I'm like, and I fucking cough foam all over the fucking place. And I'm laughing and coughing at the same time because I'm relieved that I'm not going to die. But I'm actually kind of disappointed that I didn't die because I actually wish that people would have seen that was the way I died and read the story. That's a Darwin Award or something, right? I just a guy who killed himself with a teaspoon covered with bristles, just ramming it into his fucking uvula, and checked out and hit his head on the fucking sink and laid there with a cut on his lip. A pre-warning 3 days ago.
am just stupid enough to think that when people listen to me and they listen to the show, they should take my honesty and go, oh, wow, how refreshing his unvarnished honesty is. And the fact that he's willing to have a scorched earth policy and have no friends or no fucking future is so refreshing and great.
But then they'll say to me, hey, do you need somebody raped for the steak?
I go, yes, I do. Done. They'll take care of it for me. Thanks, Snake Rape. Oh, no one listens to show, bro? Wonder why? Wonder why no one listens to show, bro? I don't want to listen to show, bro. Please.
Snake rape, do it, do it, do it, do it.